God blessed her with speed and quickness. I don't even know how she made that pass to Z. Learning point guard is probably a little challenging right now, and now I'm trying to get her to do what Jada does.
Why is a flashy talent like Milaysia Fulwiley coming off the bench for LSU despite her clear skills? The answer lies deeper than you think.
Prime Field.
Those were the words of LSU head coach Kim Mulkey following the Tigers' first exhibition of the 2025-26 season. They were directed at Milaysia Fulwiley, the transfer guard from South Carolina, whose arrival in Baton Rouge has stirred both curiosity and expectation. But Fulwiley's introduction to LSU basketball carries an irony emblematic of elite programs. On a roster stacked with experience and scoring power, the same abundance that defines championship depth also delays the rise of its brightest young stars. This is the paradox that defines LSU's backcourt, and Fulwiley's journey within it. The question is not whether she can play, it's whether her path to stardom must begin from the bench. The 2025-26 LSU Tigers enter the season with one of the deepest guard rotations in women's college basketball. Senior Flau J. Johnson, 18.6 points per game last season. Junior Michaela Williams, 17.3 points and 124 assists. Two proven scorers who led LSU to the Elite Eight and form one of the nation's most efficient backcourts. Behind them waits sophomore Jada Richard, the Gatorade Louisiana Player of the Year, and senior Kaylin Gilbert, who delivered clutch performances against Washington and Tennessee. And now, into that already dense lineup, steps Fulwiley, the reigning SEC Sixth Woman of the Year, fresh off an 11.7-point average at South Carolina. She arrives not as a project, but as a proven weapon from a rival powerhouse. This is not a team with positional vacancies. It is a team overflowing with talent, where even excellence must compete for air. Fulwiley's athleticism is undeniable. Her highlight reels, behind-the-back assists, acrobatic finishes, cross-court vision have already earned national attention. But Mulkey's challenge is not to harness her creativity. It's to structure it. Across 2 seasons at South Carolina, Fulwiley averaged just over 2 assists per game, with a career assist-to-turnover ratio of 1.2 to 1. In isolation, those numbers impress. Within Mulkey's system, they reveal a developmental gap. LSU's guards operate under a different expectation, higher volume facilitation, lower error tolerance. Johnson averaged 2.5 assists per game last year, executing within a structured offensive rhythm that prioritizes tempo control. The adjustment, then, is philosophical as much as statistical. Fulwiley is being asked not merely to score, but to orchestrate. To evolve from a highlight creator to a possession manager. From an instinctive playmaker to a tactical decision-maker. And the bench, paradoxically, becomes the laboratory for that evolution. In October's exhibition against Mississippi College, Fulwiley scored 17 points, more than any other LSU guard in the rotation. Yet she began that night on the bench. Mulkey's reasoning was straightforward. It doesn't matter if you start or not, she said. You just want to be in that rotation of 8. It is a statement of coaching philosophy rather than favoritism. For Mulkey, the bench is not a demotion. It's a controlled environment. A setting in which young guards learn the subtleties of tempo, spacing, and accountability without the immediate burden of leading a game from tip-off. This developmental model is not new. It is a pattern seen across the most successful programs in college basketball. Build through depth, then promote through mastery. The 2022-23 national championship run revolved around its front court power. Angel Reese and Anissa Morrow controlling the boards and dictating tempo, but both are gone, and the offensive center of gravity has shifted to the perimeter. In this transition, Fulwiley's speed and creativity are invaluable, not as the focal point, but as a spark. Mulkey's system thrives on players who can inject pace without compromising structure. That's where Fulwiley fits. Her task isn't to replace Johnson or Williams. It's to complement them, to become the player who turns defensive stops into transition runs, who disrupts rhythm, who provides unpredictability from the second unit. In the long game of championship construction, such players are not backups, they're catalysts. Fulwiley's developmental path at LSU echoes models employed by other powerhouse programs. At UConn, Gino Auriemma used a similar approach with guard KK Arnold. Despite strong freshman performances, Arnold spent much of her sophomore season anchoring the second unit alongside freshman Ashlyn Shade, not as a punishment, but as preparation. At Purdue, men's coach Matt Painter has long described depth as a double-edged sword. Sometimes you'll have good players who are at 8 and 9 and 10, and you don't get a high value from them because they're used to playing 30 minutes. His solution mirrors Mulkey's. Value minutes, not titles. And at Virginia, Amaka Agugwa-Hamilton expressed a similar sentiment. We have 13 players who can contribute, but not all 13 can start. Across elite programs, the message is consistent. Great teams develop talent by constraining it first, channeling potential into precision. Competition within LSU's guard corps is not conflict, it's calibration. Flau J. Johnson's growth illustrates the process. As a freshman during LSU's 2023 national championship season, she played beside veterans who absorbed much of the offensive responsibility. By her senior year, Johnson evolved into the Tigers' primary scoring engine. Fulwiley's situation parallels that timeline. Her 2 seasons at South Carolina provided exposure to a championship culture under Dawn Staley. LSU offers a chance to refine her leadership within Mulkey's more structured, half-court-oriented system. Both coaches understand that talent matures not through freedom alone, but through friction. Through earning time, adapting systems, and refining control. Development in elite programs often feels delayed until it suddenly isn't. If Fulwiley translates her athletic gifts into consistent production, improving her assist ratio, mastering LSU's offensive reads, and reducing turnovers, her eventual elevation to starter becomes inevitable. The timeline, however, must align with the team's rhythm. In a roster this deep, premature promotion risks imbalance. Patience in Mulkey's calculus is an act of precision, not hesitation. Every possession, every rotation, and every bench minute is a controlled investment in Fulwiley's long-term value. Fulwiley's bench role is not a reflection of limitation. It is a design choice within a larger architecture. Mulkey's teams are built on layers, veterans providing stability, reserves supplying energy, and young stars learning the structure before leading it. This scaffolding has defined Mulkey's championship formula across decades. For Fulwiley, the coming months are less about visibility and more about foundation, the footwork of a future leader being laid, possession by possession, rep by rep. Her goal is measurable. Elevate her playmaking to 2.5 assists per game, reduce turnovers below a 1.3 ratio, and integrate her creative instincts within the discipline of LSU's system. When that alignment occurs, her transition from sixth woman to starter won't be symbolic. It will be strategic, the natural evolution of a player who mastered the bench before commanding the floor. The paradox of depth, so often viewed as a barrier, is in truth the mechanism that sustains dynasties. At LSU, Milaysia Fulwiley represents the intersection of raw athleticism and disciplined development. Her time on the bench is not a pause in her ascent, but the calibration phase of a player designed for longevity. Programs like LSU are measured not by who starts in November, but by who leads in March. If Fulwiley's growth continues on its current trajectory, her legacy will not be defined by where she began in Baton Rouge, but by how she learned. And how that learning eventually carried her, and LSU back into championship contention. Because in the architecture of elite basketball, the bench is not the end of the story. It's where the next chapter begins.
Prime Field.